Everyone, Mike Vogel here for WashingtonCaps.com with our annual pre-draft conversation with Caps General Manager Brian MacLellan. And Mac, I think the last time we talked was a day or two after the end of the regular season. So this is kind of the midpoint between the end of last season, the beginning of next. Just take a temperature of the organization here on a few of the things that have happened since then. Number one, Spencer Carberry hired as the head coach of your team. What have the conversations between the two of you guys been like as far as the systems and the way you guys want to play? Are you looking for any type of alteration in that from last year to this?
I think, in the hiring process, a lot of system stuff came up on, Spencer's philosophy on different zone play and power play, and he's got a lot of expertise in power play and philosophies he has around that. So we've gone over that pretty much detail. That was quite a long process of 2-3 weeks where, we were talking to Spencer and he was talking to other teams, and, fortunately we were able to sign him up. So our organization has put a lot of energy into this coaching staff, and we still are right now, searching for one more guy on our staff. But a lot of hard work, a lot of calls, a lot of interviewing going on.
Well, and you can't really play a given system unless you have the personnel to play that system too. So how closely are those two concepts married? And I guess you settle on the system and then find the players that can pull it off.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, Mike. I think it's, players adapt to the system. Certain players like to play a certain way, but I think, what's best for the overall team, players adapt to certain fluctuations in the system or versions of the similar systems. So I think players are good with whatever's coming with their coach.
Did you get the sense from some of the veteran players that they wanted to change things up a little bit? And do you feel like, you remember from your playing days, a new coach comes in, does it feel like a lot of times that somebody opened up the window and let some fresh air in when that takes place?
Yeah, I think, we have a couple guys on our team that are, would prefer a little different style of play. And, I think Spencer will appeal to that style that they like, and they'll have opportunities to do things that they prefer to do during the game. I think the power play has been, it's been a successful power play over the years for a long time. And I think, subtle changes, different voice there, I think it create a little energy, a little more excitement, or, get guys keyed up to play a little better on it.
You hired Spencer Carberry as the head coach. He's the youngest head coach in the league at this time. And then the first assistant hire is Mitch Love, who's actually a couple of years younger than Spencer. How important is it to kind of stay ahead of the curve on innovations and things that are happening in the game and try to lead, be on the lead edge of that curve, but also, having guys who are respected by what is obviously going to be still an older team?
Yeah, I think these two, they're very good young coaches. I think they're highly respected. They're up to speed on systems. They're up to speed on new philosophies, expertise in power play for Spencer. Mitch has had a lot of experience with the defense, with the penalty kill too. So I think we've gotten two of the best young coaches in the game. At the prime of their career. They're going to bring energy. They're going to bring, new voices. I think they'll be good for both veteran players and for our young guys that are developing.
Obviously, given the disappointment of the Caps season last year, it had to be a really uplifting experience to see what the Hershey Bears accomplished in the Calder Cup final. How does that alter your plans in terms of personnel on the ice? How many of those guys maybe opened your eyes a little bit, or maybe changed just in the way that they're being looked at? Sometimes when players are in an organization for a long time, that vision of who they are and who they can be can get a little stale.
Yeah, I think our reads on our guys that have played well this year are still where they were at the beginning of the year. I thought McMichael played real well throughout the final. Malenstein played well. Lapierre's coming, he's improving. Protas played well, you know, he spent most of the year with us. I mean, all these guys, Iorio played well, he's developing. I think they're all going to play. Next year, we got some spots, you know, that we can use most of those guys in. And, you know, we'll move forward from that. I think the experience of playing all the way through a championship has been tremendous for these guys. You watch the growth in the person, and you watch all the fun they had, you know, having that success, winning the championship. It creates a bond for these guys going forward. So all these young guys that have played together, they come up and they create an energy within the NHL team of being successful, having that fun. And they're very close now. So we hope to take advantage of it.
With guys like McMichael, Protas, and Mallenstein specifically, who you could envision being somewhere in the top 12, how does, you know, knowing that those guys are going to be competing for jobs, how does that factor into what you might do as far as in terms of tailoring the rest of the roster between now and training camp?
Yeah, I think it's important to find a balance of, you know, we're making hopefully a change or two to the lineup, and at the same time keeping a spot for these guys so that they can come in and earn whatever spot they end up in a lineup, that there's room for them to come in and play.
Do you see Connor McMichael as a guy who, do you want him to maybe start slow and grow into a larger role, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great growth year for him. I think his two-way game grew a lot. He's a lot more well-rounded player than he was at the beginning of the year. You see him playing power play, you see him playing penalty kill. I think projecting where he's going to be is going to be a lot with our current lineup and what the coach determines how he wants to use guys. I mean, ideally, he's going to be a centerman at some point, whether it takes a year maybe to get there. We'll find out as we go along here.
This is obviously the time of year when rosters are built. How do you see the shelves of the NHL's free agent emporium looking right now? And are there some opportunities out there maybe for teams that are a little strapped with the cap, as you guys are, as we sit here today, in terms of, once that money gets spent, are there maybe going to be a couple of guys with no chairs when the music stops?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky game to play if you're going to wait for that. But I think there's always opportunities that you can to find, a good player that fits your salary cap structure. So I think we'll be monitoring that. And I think it's, this off season with the cap remaining flat, I think it's difficult for teams to create space, to create room to sign free agents. So, you're looking for opportunities that might be happening in that avenue too.
You had mentioned the want and the desire to add some skill and some speed to the top six. Do you see that as more likely via free agency or via the trade route?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the situation we're in, I think it would be more likely the trade route, but I wouldn't rule out free agency either.
Last thing before we let you go, one of your, I thought, best moves last summer at this time was picking up Connor Brown from the Ottawa Senators. Have you had talks with his camp, and do you have a sense that there might be a fit there to try again in the year ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Connor's representatives, last week. We've been in communication with them all along. I think he would like to see what's out there in free agency. Unfortunately, I thought it was a great fit last year. It would probably be a good fit moving forward. We like the person, we like the style of play he does, but I think we'll see what happens for him in free agency. Unfortunately, this is the first time he's going to be able to go to free agency. So I think he wants to talk to teams and see where he's at with that. And we'll remain in communication with him, and we'll see where it goes from there.